Hello, family, friends, and followers. Jorge's avatar here. Today, we're going to explore some of the non technical basics of artificial intelligence. My goal isn't to teach you how to build AI or write computer code. Instead, I want to help you understand what AI really is, why it's such a big deal, and how thinking about it differently can completely change the way you use it. Let's start with a simple thought experiment. Imagine walking into a library and asking the librarian, "What's the best way to start a small business?" The librarian smiles, disappears into the stacks, and returns with 10 books on entrepreneurship. "Everything you need is in here," they say. "Good luck." Now imagine asking that exact same question to a friend who started a successful business last year. They don't hand you a stack of books. They pause for a moment, think about your situation, and say, "Well, it depends. What kind of business are you thinking about? Who are your customers? Here's what worked for me, here's what didn't, and here's what I would do differently." One gives you information, the other gives you understanding. That difference between a library and a thoughtful friend is one of the best ways to understand what has changed with modern artificial intelligence. For centuries, technology has been helping us close the gap between effort and output. Machines made physical work easier. Computers made calculations faster. The internet gave us instant access to information. But AI is different. Artificial intelligence isn't just shrinking the gap between what we know and what we don't know. It's shrinking the gap between what we know and what we're actually capable of accomplishing. We've seen transformations like this before. The Industrial Revolution automated physical labor. The information age automated access to knowledge. Now we're entering what many call the intelligence age, where we're beginning to automate parts of thinking itself. We're moving beyond software that simply follows instructions into systems that can reason through problems, write code, analyze information, create content, develop strategies, and even execute complex workflows with surprisingly little supervision. That sounds revolutionary, and it is, but it's important to remember that AI didn't suddenly appear overnight. Modern AI is the result of nearly 80 years of research, experimentation, breakthroughs, and countless failures. The recent explosion of AI tools wasn't the beginning of the journey. It was the moment decades of work finally became practical enough for everyone to use. And personally, I think that's incredible. Now, here's one of the biggest misconceptions people have. Many people think the chatbot is the AI. It isn't. When you open ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Cursor, or one of the many other AI applications, what you're looking at is a chatbot. It's simply the interface, the text box, the microphone, the buttons, the conversation window. Behind that interface is something much more sophisticated. At the heart of the system is a large language model, or LLM. Think of it as an enormous neural network that has learned patterns from vast amounts of human language. It's the component that's actually interpreting your request, reasoning through it, and generating a response. A helpful analogy is to think of a modern automobile. The chatbot is the steering wheel, the dashboard, and the controls you interact with. The LLM is the engine. But even that isn't enough. A car also needs brakes, sensors, seatbelts, navigation, fuel systems, suspension, and hundreds of other components working together to safely travel down the highway at 85 miles per hour. Modern AI works the same way. Today's AI systems combine language models with memory, specialized tools, internet access, databases, software integrations, safety systems, and increasingly, the ability to perform actions on your behalf. The chatbot is simply the doorway into a much larger ecosystem. Understanding that distinction helps explain why AI is advancing so quickly. For decades, computers functioned more like libraries. They stored information, they indexed information, they retrieved information. Ask a question, and they would point you toward the answer. That simple idea created an enormous industry. Search engines like Google and Bing became incredibly valuable because they helped us find information faster than ever before. If you wanted to learn how to start a business, search engines gave you thousands of links. Some were good, some weren't. Your job was to open them, compare them, evaluate them, and somehow synthesize all that information into a plan. The computer knew where the information was. It didn't really understand what you were trying to accomplish. It knew what. It didn't know, so what. Artificial intelligence changes that. We're moving beyond the search era into what I like to call the synthesis era. Instead of simply finding information, AI can help combine ideas, explain concepts, analyze options, and create solutions. We no longer want a list of books about flying. We want a co-pilot who has studied those books and can help us take off. But this creates another challenge. Many people try AI once and become disappointed. They type, "Help me write an email." The AI responds with a generic answer. They think, "That was not very impressive." The problem usually is not the AI. The problem is the briefing. Think about hiring a talented employee. You would not walk into their office and say, "Help the company." You would explain the goal. You would provide context. You would describe the audience. You would define what success looks like. AI works the same way. The better the guidance, the better the results. Instead of saying, "Write an email," you might say, "Help me write a friendly email to customers who have been with us for 5 years. I want to thank them, explain a change, and reinforce the value they receive." That is not just a question, that is a briefing. And that is when AI becomes much more powerful. It changes from a chatbot that answers questions into a digital assistant that helps you think, create, and accomplish goals. In future discussions, we will explore how to use AI more effectively, how to delegate work, and how AI is evolving beyond chatbots. The next major step is called agentic AI. AI systems that can understand goals, use tools, take action, and work alongside us. That is where our journey continues. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. By the way, if this video was helpful, I'd love it if you gave it a like and subscribe to the channel. Want more content like this? Stick around, there's plenty more on the way.